Today's topic is a very important topic sometimes people don't want to talk about, but it's essential for our mission and to keep going. Those that don't know me, I'm Laura Hayes. I'm the Executive Director of the Fanconi Anemia Research Fund, and the topic of my conversation today will be family fundraising. Our mission, I think it never hurts to restate our mission because our whole job is to fulfill our mission, and everything we do, including the fundraising that's needed, is to fulfill our mission. First part of our mission, and these are two equally important ones, is to find effective treatments and a cure for Fanconi anemia, and to provide education and support services to affected families and adults with FA worldwide. Just to emphasize how important it is and how seriously we take it, everything that we do, 88% of all of our funds go into program services of the two ways to support our mission, which is research and family support, which is in green. So that means only 12 cents out of every dollar is spent on either administration or fundraising for ourselves. And part of the reason we can keep our fundraising costs down is that families help us so much with that. And most of you, I don't know if you've heard of a site called Charity Navigator. Charity Navigator is a great site. They go in, they analyze all the charities, and they give them a ranking depending on how much they're spending on program services, if they are clear with their financial statements, if they, let everyone know they have whistleblower policies, all that. And this is, I think every year, except for, especially the last 5 years, we've gotten a 4-star, which is the highest rating. So the first part of the mission, to find effective treatments and a cure. To do that, we have to support research. And how have we done that at FARF? Since 1989, when the fund was officially started, we have awarded more than $17.2 million in research grants, 201 research projects, 102 researchers, 57 institutions, and 8 countries around the world. So this is not restricted to scientists and clinicians from the United States. We fund grants to the best clinicians and to the best scientists working on Fanconi anemia. Since camp last year, we have funded 4 new grants. Part of the reason that's a little bit less than other years is counterintuitively, we have received a record number of applications. And because of that, we've had to change our system a little. So now we're going to have 2 times a year when scientists can submit their applications. Then we review them all at once, we make a decision, and then we go forward from there. So what are these 4 grants that we have funded? The first one is a squamous cell carcinoma targeted grant from Robert Sclafani at University of Colorado, Denver. Now, people may remember that I talked about it last year. The reason I talked about it last year is he came back to us and said, I have preliminary results, there's ones I want to pursue, can I have another year of funding? And we felt from his data and from his work, it was definitely worth going forward. And in this case, the reason that there's red grapes up there is that he is studying a chemical called resveratrol. Resveratrol is found in the skin of red grapes and others, and it's also an antioxidant and has been shown to have anti-tumor activity. So what he has done is he has taken head and neck cancer cell lines from FA individuals, tested them with resveratrol, and some of them have responded well, but not all of them. So now, in this follow-up, he is combining resveratrol with other agents to see if he can see a synergistic effect in killing of these tumors. What's important about resveratrol is it kills the cancer cells, but does not harm the normal cells. As I said, it's an antioxidant. Another one, and we were talking a little bit about this, has been frustrating, but I want you to know we are doing everything we can to push this forward, is the clinical trial on N-acetylcysteine. This is Yigal Dror. I've been told I said it completely wrong. Yigal, okay. At University of Toronto Hospital for Sick Children. I'm not going to go too much detail because Rich also talked about it. But this is another antioxidant called N-acetylcysteine NAC. This is the chemical structure over here. But what's important about this one, and one reason it has taken a while, is this is an international study. There's going to be at least 3 sites in Italy, Germany, or 4, Italy, Germany, United States, and Canada. We really hope to give you news soon about that. And in fact, someone also asked, what happens when a scientist gets a grant with us, especially if it's more than 1 year? If they do not give us a progress report or they do not give us updated information, we can withhold the next grant payment until that happens. That's part of the contract, that's part of what we do. So this one is an interesting one. We funded for Henry van de Groot at Netherlands Cancer Institute in Amsterdam. I think Rich talked a little bit about this. I believe Jen talked a little bit about this, gene editing. What is gene editing? So Jen showed this earlier in her gene therapy based on the process of how blood cells are produced. You have your stem cell at the top, and then all the other cells come from that populate our blood. What gene editing does is it takes the gene, and instead of in gene therapy, you put in the whole gene back into the stem cell. Gene editing, you actually use cellular machinery to actually edit out the mistake. So it's your cell, you're not putting in a whole new gene, you're editing the gene that has the DNA mutation. The ones I told you have direct clinical applications right away. It's still important to fund and give information and time to basic science. I always hated the term basic science because it makes it sound like you're doing something that's, easy. That's not what it means. It means you're still looking at chemistry and molecules. It may not have a clinical correlation yet, but you need all that data to find anything. So any kind of vaccine that came out, that all came from basic research. You needed to know how the HPV vaccine worked before you can make HPV virus worked before you can make a vaccine. So we believe at the Fanconi Anemia Research Fund, we still need to fund basic research. However, we have adopted a policy that we are trying to roughly fund about 70% of our proposals, be clinical or translational, and 30% basic science. So this proposal was funded by Toshi Taniguchi, who's at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle. And just a little, I don't want to make it too complicated, but in this case, the FA pathway is a bunch of proteins that work together, and it's turned on and it's off. In FA cells, the pathway's off. How do we turn it back on? One way it's regulated is by this process called phosphorylation. And that is in green over there, it says the phosphorylated protein. So when a protein gets phosphorylated, it gets the phosphate group, and then it's taken off by what's called a phosphatase. Phosphorylation regulates the pathway at many different points. And the question is, he's testing whether a phosphorylation inhibitor is able to turn the pathway back on in certain downstream mutations. This is also not just going to possible clinical effects, but understanding how this pathway works is going to keep giving us clues about how to turn the pathway back on. So it's not just directly about the phosphatase inhibitor, it's about contributing to the overall research and scientific understanding of Fanconi anemia. And one thing I wanted to remind people, and I think this has been an amazing thing for both FARF and Ralph and Arnika, is we funded a service grant for the two of them. It was a 2-year grant to go around and do oral screenings throughout the United States. This is something that he's seen hundreds of patients. A lot of the data that Arnika presented came from that, and they have detected oral lesions and other things in FA individuals. We think it's an incredibly worthwhile project to fund and has been so valuable to our community. One thing people asked 2 years ago is, how do you guys decide what grants? And so what comes down is we get a research proposal, I read it, and then I identify reviewers. This is outside scientists who are experts in that field. The scientists then review the proposals. I give them usually 6 weeks to 2 months. They turn them in, not always on time, but I was never perfect as a reviewer either, but we're after them to do it. And then the proposal review committee, which is made up of 3 different board members, gets together. They read all the scientific reviews, lots of brain power going on in there, like I'm showing. They take seriously the scientific reviews. They need to know that it's quality science. It's quality research. But however, just because it's quality research doesn't mean it's going to be helpful to our community. And so we have to also rank it based on, what will this mean to an FA individual? Will this have clinical impact? Will this contribute to science? And it's from there they give their recommendation, which is then given to the board of directors to vote on. One thing we really wanted to make people aware of is we now have the abstracts that describe each research grant on our website. We asked the scientists to put it in language that everyone will understand. It gives you an idea. It's great. It's there if you ever want to look at it. So funding grants is only part of the research process. And another thing is very important is our annual scientific symposium. We just had our 25th, so we're about to have our 27th, in Toronto, which will be, go Canada, in September 17th through 20th, and families are invited. This symposia, or all the symposia, have usually about 200, 220 people that attend. This is filled with scientists and clinicians from all over the world. We've had up to 19 different countries there. And it's a way to both educate clinicians, it's a way for basic scientists to interact with clinicians, to form new relationships. And it's been something truly special. But what this symposium does, unlike any other science meeting I've ever attended, it had the families there. So scientists get to see a personal face on what FA families are going through, what FA individuals are going through, and I think it gives them that extra incentive to want to stay in the field and to do something to help. I won't go into too much detail on this one because Jen also gave an update for the on gene therapy, but one thing that FARF does in collaboration with Fanconi Hope, which is the UK support group, is to sponsor a meeting for Fanconi anemia gene therapy. We have all these different centers, including Fred Hutchinson, Boston, the Spanish group, all over the world, different protocols, things weren't working. People didn't, it was hard to get people to talk to each other. So what we did is we set up a meeting where we bring them together. And what was amazing about this group of about 20, 25 scientists is they got together and they set parameters. They all said, we agree that this should happen, that this shouldn't happen, that this shouldn't happen. And by doing that and having all those brilliant minds come together, is they came up with the protocol, or some of the outlines of the protocol that Jen has been using and that the Spanish group will be using soon. Without having them together, without FARF-funded support of this meeting, I don't think this could have happened. Another thing that we do is we always need to get new researchers involved. So I have been going to scientific meetings to, one, identify new clinicians so they know what Fanconi anemia is, because you still need to tell people. The word is getting out, but there's always new doctors coming in, new specialists, and so they need to know about it. And for this, I go to the American Society of Hematology meeting, which was in San Francisco, the International Head and Neck Cancer Society meeting, and then last April, I went to the American Association for Cancer Research. Usually we take about 2 to 3 staff members, but I had met a support group that also had family members that came, or individuals with that particular disease. And I thought that is going to make more of an impact than just having the staff there. So what I did is, it was in Philadelphia, and a lot of you will recognize Andre down there in the corner. And this is Sherry Bank, who lost her daughter, Allie, in the 1990s to FA. They came with me, they sat at the booth with me, we met doctors, we met physicians, and I just think it really helped spread the word in a way that we don't do when it's just the staff there. Now, the second part of the supporting our mission is supporting families. So we have our international family on the top from Canada, a variety of different families. This is the second part of our mission. It's equally important. And as most of you have met, and Suzanne loves this, Suzanne Plank, our interim family support coordinator, has been wonderful and does so much for the community. A lot of the things that Teresa did, and we're just continuing to add to that. This is just a small amount of the things that she does, just to give you an idea. New patient inquiries and assistance, inquiries from physicians and social workers about Fanconi anemia, connecting new families with established FARF families, coordinating tissue sample donations and resource referrals, monitoring the Facebook page, planning for the family meeting. I could go on. It's an amazing job and done very well. In addition to help families, in addition to our family support coordinator and what we have on our website and what we do on the Facebook, we spend a lot of time and a lot of money on making publications for families. The first one, as most of you should have received in the mail, if you didn't, it's at the front desk, is the FA guidelines. Margie and others keep calling it handbook because it used to be called the handbook, but it's the same thing, for diagnosis and management that came out. We had it printed, I think, by February, including about 50 different authors on it, 20 different chapters, a variety of new information. It's just a valuable resource. The FA Courier, which is also at the front desk, we put out every year. It's a way, if families want to participate in research, it's a way of hooking them up with scientists that are looking for samples. It's also, all of these things are also available on our website. And as most of you, especially new families, get this, they get an international testing and resource guide. It lists in their country or in their state FA specialists, where they're located, different ones for diagnosis, different ones for bone marrow transplantation, head and neck cancer, and all of that. And it's a valuable resource. And our other publications, this is Sherry, who's our new communications and conference coordinator, are our newsletters. These newsletters take a lot of work. In fact, we have 3 writers here this year, Rachel, Sharon, and Lynn, who are writing articles, and Amy, 4 writers for our newsletters. For all the talks, or not all of them, but most of the talks that went on, there will be a corresponding article in the newsletter for those families that weren't able to attend, those families that attended, couldn't go to that talk, attended the meeting, and forgot what's going on, or want a refresher. They're all in there. We do it we do it twice a year in the spring and the fall. It's very important, very, very useful information that's put in there. Also available on our website. We also do the family directory every year. Every family that wants to be in the directory will put their name in there. We keep it confidential, otherwise we don't post it on our website. And then every family at that point can receive one if they've agreed to be listed in the directory. We also put on the meeting for adults with FA. The next one we're planning for is spring 2016. As you can see in this picture, this was our last one in Baltimore. We had a record number of 42 adults at this meeting for adults with FA. And FARF puts that on. We bring in speakers, we set up activities, and I think it's so exciting to see this population grow. There's actually 2 people in this picture that have been photoshopped in, including Amy, who just happened to miss the picture, but I just think it's a lovely picture. And of course, Camp Sunshine. On the first day, I mentioned everything that Camp Sunshine does and everything that FARF does. It's an incredible partnership. It's a lot of work on both our parts. It takes a lot of funds to do it. It's important to keep that up. We present clinical presentations, the research opportunities, the support groups, and of course, family fun. And we'll see if our picture looks as good this year. In addition, scholarships. She's giving me the time over there. So, scholarships. We give out scholarships for the family meeting for adults with FA, and clinical trials. So, we get to this part of the talk. All of these things that I just talked about are supported by family fundraisers. So as you can see here, our income in 2014 was just over $1.7 million. 99% of that came from families. For all of these things to keep going on, we have to have families fundraising. And one thing is, I just said that our income was 1.7 million. Our budget this year is over 2 million. That means we are running a deficit. And for our sustainability, it's so important that we keep fundraising. But another one that's equally important and is concerning is the percentage of funds that are raised by all the families and then are raised by one family. It's never good for an organization to be dependent upon one source for fundraising, especially in light of our recent loss of Dave, who was an amazing fundraiser, amazing man. I think Amy and Lynn are going to do a great job keeping it up, but as Lynn points out, she's not getting any younger, even though she looks fantastic. That if we want to keep having the meeting like it is, if we want to have the grants and we want to have the scientific meetings, we want to have all the publications, then we need the families to fundraise. We need them to pick up more of the percentage of our budget that is currently being picked up by the Frohmeyers. So what is family fundraising? It's a variety of different things. It's appeal letters, special events, bequests, major gifts and foundations, and workplace giving. We have a lot of people that their employers will pay. If they donate $100, their employer will match it. It's an easy way to do it. It's a great way for us to get funds. So the least expensive and highest return on investment are appeal letters. So as an example here's lovely Amy running. This was the fundraising letter the Frohmeyer sent out 2 years ago. I just liked this picture. They send it out right after Thanksgiving. It's relatively easy. It provides an amazing way for you to share your story to friends and families. And I think the Fiaschettis were telling me all of their families love to get updates about Peter. It's just something that continues, and so it's also low cost, and like I said, it has the highest return on investment. So special events. Oh, yes?
Just point out that FARF helps get those.
Oh, I will. What Amy was saying, to point out that we'll help you do that, and I have that in a later slide, but I certainly could have put it closer. So a lot of people also like to put on events, and so there's way too many for me to list, but I just wanted to give you some examples. We had the FA month, which was May. We actually had a whole bunch of fundraisers happen at once. This was spearheaded by the Fiaschettis and Peg Padden, and in fact, the Fiaschettis gave $25 to anyone who was willing to fundraise. We also have runs and hikes. Also during the month of May, we had the amazing 5K by the Lana family that just did fantastic. We have golf tournaments. I just went on Friday. The reason many of you didn't see me is I drove down to Boston. I went to Coley's Cause. This was Nicole, who died in, I think, 2004 from Fanconi anemia. Her parents are still putting on a golf tournament. This is their 11th year for this golf tournament. It was amazing, their turnout, their dedicated friends and family. Other ones are simple, are garage sales, raffles, car washes. And this really neat idea, if anyone can recognize that, is Super Mario Kart. We had an FA adult from, I believe, the Netherlands who did a marathon, and people paid to watch him, and the money got donated. Little things like this can be just very effective. Bequests and major gifts. I think this is something that the Fanconi Anemia Fund wants to help people with and to increase the ability for us to give you support. So you can have planned giving, local foundations and charitable trusts, and getting high net worth individuals capable of major gifts. One thing, if you're going to put on an event, is you want to be able to have the people attending your event to be able to donate easily. We have many options for that. We will work with you. We will make websites with you to help with that. We now have one on our Facebook page so the people that come to our Facebook page can donate. Other ways to give. This is one of the easiest ways to give. It's called Amazon Smile. I don't know if has everyone here heard of it? Raise your hands. Okay. All you do is you go into Amazon, you select Fanconi Anemia Charity Fund on Smile or Amazon Smile, and then every time you purchase something, your friends purchase something, a percentage of that will go towards our fund. So we have been receiving checks from Amazon Smile, so people are buying things, so that's good. We also have other ways, including online searches. So small things like that you could do at any time, especially easy way to get your friends and family involved. So Cynthia Freeman, who's our special projects coordinator, could do the support that I was just talking about. One way is for your fundraising event, we will make a personalized brochure for you, whatever you want it to say, the picture of your family member, or if you're an adult with FA, we'll do that. We'll help you design your flyers, we'll print them out, we'll print all of it out, we'll send it to you, you just let us know what you want, we'll help you design it. So for the appeal letter that Amy was asking about, if you write it or even write part of it, give us an idea, we'll help you write that letter. Some families completely write the letter, sometimes we help them with it. You send it to us, you give us a list of where to send it, we will help with that letter, we will print that letter, we will send that letter out. In addition, for your fundraiser, we can provide PowerPoints, we can provide other information that you can actually give to different family members and friends during their events. And then after your events, this is a question that comes up a lot, we will do the tax receipts and the thank you letters for you. If you give us the list, we'll send those out, so you don't have to do that. So I think in conclusion, I talked about a lot of things, and one reason, last year when I gave this talk, we had a few input from the audience, people were sharing stories, and in our evaluations, people told us, we wish we'd had more of the time to talk to different family members, what they've done, what's good. And so after my talk, we're going to have Sharon Schumann come up, who's a board member, who's going to talk us a little bit about changes in the board of FARF to help with fundraising. And that's going to be followed by a fundraising workshop with Cynthia Vandermeis and Lorraine McQueen. So I'd like to finish to a huge thank you to everyone who has fundraised for us. Without you, we would not be able to do these myriad of things I just talked about. And to those of you who haven't yet fundraised, we are here to help you in any way that you can. And so, logistically, ideas, anything. And it's just, I can't drive the thing home enough is that we need to increase our fundraising to keep going as we are, to doing everything that we're doing. We need an increase in family fundraising, especially as the Frohmeyer funds may recede. So, very important, and I am going to have Sharon come up and talk to you a little bit about changes in the board of directors. So thank you very much.